Hello, everyone. It is 11 o'clock Central, so we will get started. Thank you for tuning into today's webinar, Using Classroom Kits to Grow Your Culinary Resources Toolbox. My name is Emily, and I will be your moderator today. Presenting, we have Denise DuBois. She is our product manager here at Realityworks and has been with us for a little over 10 years. She is a frequent presenter, trainer, and blogger for all things related to family consumer science, health science, EMS, and human services. She has over 20 years of education, marketing experience, and professional development. She is a fantastic resource for today's webinar. Before we get started, I do want to cover a couple things. First, today's presentation is being recorded and all attendees will receive a link to that recording as well as a copy of the PowerPoint slides and the handouts that Denise will be going over today. You will also receive a certificate of completion for attending today's presentation, and you should see that email within 24 hours after the webinar. We will have time at the end for a Q&A session. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to type those in the chat or the Q&A feature located at the bottom of your screen. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to Denise to get us going.
Thank you, Emily, and welcome everyone to our webinar today on using classroom kits to grow your culinary toolbox. If you're looking for new resources and activities for your culinary classes, we think that this is going to be the webinar for you. Now, Realityworks has supplemental culinary kits. There are several that I'm going to highlight today, but they are a great resource for adding new hands-on opportunities to learn transferable career skills. So we're going to highlight a variety of the kits, and then I'm going to be sharing at least one or more activities from each of the kits that you'll have access to and can take and use with your students to give it a try. So first of all, here's just a brief outline of what we'll be covering today. We're going to go to each of our 5 culinary kits. And again, we're going to be showing you what's in it, the curriculum topics, and then I'm going to be sharing access to some of the lab activities that are in each of them. And then also near the end of our time together, I'll be sharing a variety of other free resources that have to do with culinary. So hopefully by the end of the webinar today, you'll walk away with a minimum of 5 to 10 new ideas, exercises, links, and things that you'll be able to try in your culinary programs. So first of all, each of the culinary kits we discussed today has a variety of benefits for instructors as well as students. And we wanted to highlight a few before we dig into those. And first of all, it provides that supplemental solution for teaching culinary skills. No matter what textbook you might be using or curricula, it will fit into that. It just gives you more hands-on activities and things that you can use with your students for them to apply what they're learning. And we've tried to make them a very easy way to teach units on specific culinary topics. We always build in that classroom management aspect. So all of our kits have multiple components for the activities so that each kitchen lab or small groups of students can be participating in those things simultaneously. And we have also built some assessment into the lessons, and you'll see that in multiple ways in each kit. And then we've tried to make the content engaging and just giving you more tools to use with your students, especially if you've been teaching culinary content for a long time. Sometimes it's nice just to have a few new things that you can try. So the first kit we're going to highlight today is one that we call our knife skills kit. And this includes all the items that you see here, and it's a great introductory unit for basic knife skills for any culinary program. So again, you can see we've got 6 of many of the items so that 6 kitchen labs can be using these things simultaneously. And all the items fit in the box. So we have also taken care of storage for you. So here's the curriculum that goes with our knife skills kit. There are 3 lessons. And it takes students through safe handling and storage of knives, gets into the parts of knives, and it gets into the different types of knives. And then it also teaches students how to perform several basic knife cuts. And that's where they get that hands-on, where they're looking at models of the different kinds of cuts, and then they're also able to practice them safely. So here are some of the lesson activities that we highlight in that kit. Right now, you can see the list. There's safe or unsafe knife handling scenarios. There's also a great anatomy of knives presentation, and the slides are ready for you. So that's ready to go. We also try to build in vocabulary into the lessons to bring in the language arts component. And then they get into the lab where they're doing those 10 different cuts, that hands-on practice. And then we've built in the assessment with a very brief pre and post knife skills quiz in this particular kit. So here's the first free activity we wanted to provide you from our knife skills curriculum, and it's available at the link that you see above. And this specific activity is found in lesson 2, the anatomy of knives. So in that lesson 2, there is a slide presentation that's very robust that goes through the anatomy and all the parts of different types of knives. So you could go through that, and then there's a handout, it's called the knife chart that you see here, and have students complete the knife chart as they listen to the lecture. Now, if you happen to be in a remote setting, you could put this information out on an LMS system, perhaps give them access to the knife chart. You could still do the lecture part if you wanted, or you could even share a lecture that you record yourself. There is an answer key provided to everything. So this is just one activity that works really, really well if you're in person, or even if you've got some students that are remote. You could really do it either way. The second kit we'd like to share today is our food safety kit. And this is our kit that's been around the longest. In our food safety kit, it covers basic food safety and handling techniques using culinary occupations, but also at home. The curriculum integrates hands-on activities and the components for up to 6 small groups to be working on the activities simultaneously. Now, this is a list of all the kit components that you receive as a customer. And we've built in that classroom management again to try to give 6 students or 6 small groups in the kitchen labs working on these things at the same time. It always comes with a storage box, so you can use it for a 1-week unit on basic food safety, and then you can go ahead and store it when you're done, and it makes it very easy to get it out to use it. Now, here's a list of the lesson topics found in the curriculum. So if you taught all of the lessons and did everything, it would be about 8 to 10 hours total of teaching time. A sample lesson can be found at the link that you see on the screen in front of you. It's at the product page on realityworks.com under the culinary products that we have. And you click on this kit, which is basic food safety, and that's where you would find this. In fact, there are sample lessons or sample curricula that are available for all of our culinary kits. If you go out to our website and you click on the culinary kits individually, on each product page, you will see a curriculum button and a sample there, so you can really check those out in more detail at that location. Here are a few of the activities found in this curricula to help engage students. Glow gel and UV lights are a fun way to show your students how to properly wash their hands. So after applying the gel and following the procedures outlined, the UV lights illuminate the areas on the hands that were not properly cleaned. The lessons also integrate important language arts skills, and there are several research projects that are part of the activities too. And then the highlight of this kit is really that foodborne illness outbreak simulation. So students are put into a scenario where they take on the role of the county health official who's tasked with discovering the source and pathogen causing a local outbreak at a large-scale event. So like a detective, they have to trace the clues to discover the answer. And that was one of the most fun things that students like out of this kit. The bacteria growing lab in this curricula has students using yeast in 3 different environments to see which one makes bacteria grow the fastest and the implications it has for food safety. So students will put all of their new skills to work in a cooking lab while they make chicken fried rice. And then there's also a trivia game focusing on question categories: clean, separate, cook, chill, and bonus questions. And it's a fun game because it can be used as a large class activity or even used in small groups. And then there's assessment built into the kit with answer keys provided. So the free activity that we wanted to make available to this one, or highlight from food safety, is our common pathogen research project. And this is, again, another thing that can easily be adapted and used as a remote learning activity or in class. So you can see the access to this is at the link that you see on the link in front of you there on the screen. So in this one, they get a list of many of the common pathogens known to cause foodborne illness outbreaks. And they choose a pathogen from that list Then they research and collect information on a graphic organizer that is provided. And from that, then they prepare a 5-minute presentation. And there is a grading rubric included in the curriculum as well. And then they show the presentation to their classmates. And if you have 15 or 20 students in a class, you can see how students would then get access or be made aware of all of those different common pathogens. You could also assign something like this easily for students to do remotely as well and turn in as an assignment. Now here's the third kit we'd like to highlight, and that is our kitchen safety kit. And you use our kitchen safety kit to introduce basic kitchen safety concepts and techniques to your students in an easy to use 1-week format. The kit works again with any textbook or curriculum that you're already using. It includes things like activity cards, posters, hands-on activities that address sanitation, knife safety, hazard prevention, and assessment. And you can use this kit with up to 6 simultaneous kitchen labs, similar to the way the other ones work as well. The curriculum helps your students learn about important kitchen safety techniques that could be used at home or in culinary occupations. It introduces 4 primary hazard areas in the kitchen: sanitation, burns, falls, and cuts. The lessons integrate hands-on activities into each of the lessons. We do use glow germ oil on this one and UV lights to do an interactive proper hand washing lab. The kitchen safety poster set, there are 6 sets so that each cooking lab is provided with easy to use visual references for students to see during class activities. And then the safety trivia cards are used to provide fun small group and class-wide activities. And then it provides that review prior to the post-test. And there is a link to a sample of the curricula on the screen in front of you as well. So here's a look at the lesson activities laid out in more detail, and it shows how the kit components are integrated into each lesson of the curricula. Now, students make sanitizing solutions and they use safe knife skills in a salsa lab. They prepare a safety class presentation, and then in the end, they take a walk through a hazardous kitchen as a simulation assessment in the curriculum. The kitchen safety kit culminates in that hazardous kitchen assessment, and one kitchen lab here is taped off with caution tape. And then from a combination of items from the kit, some from your own use, and then a hazardous kitchen is set up based on the guidelines in the curriculum. And then students are tasked with a walkthrough. They observe, they identify all the hazards that they see, and then they have to, they're tasked with explaining how to mitigate or prevent each of these things. So that's one of the main assessments at the end of the unit there. The activity we'd like to highlight from our kitchen safety kit is the burns, falls, electrical and chemical hazards lecture and handout. This gives a very, very thorough overview of these 4 types of safety hazards: burns, slips, trips, and falls, electrical hazards, and chemical hazards. And at the link that you see here, you would find this in the lesson. You could share the lecture notes with students if they're remote and the slide presentation, or you can lecture and share that information yourself live. You could post this information to an LMS if students are remote. And there's a 4-page listening guide that follows along with the lecture notes and slide presentation. And it's all about identifying the causes and also prevention strategies for each of those types of kitchen hazards. Kit number 4 that we're going to highlight today is our brand new food truck design kit. And this has been one of our most popular culinary kits in the last year. So we know that food trucks have seen exponential growth with the onset of COVID in 2020. So here are just a few fun statistics. In 2020, there were about 24,000 active food truck businesses in the US, and there were about 29,000 employees. That has grown, and the mobile food truck industry now earns $2 billion, or a little over $2 billion in revenue per year in the United States. Our food truck design kit provides hands-on design experience for students tasked or challenged with building a food truck business of their own. So this interactive tool allows for optimal student interaction while learning and planning all aspects of a food truck business as an entrepreneur. So again, it includes enough hands-on lab activities and lesson plans to teach about a 3-week unit on food truck entrepreneurship. It could also supplement any textbook or curricula already in use. Some of the topics are marketing, budgeting, menu development, and other essential topics. Let's take a little bit closer look. So again, students are learning how to be an entrepreneur and open up their own food truck business. And these are each of the lessons that they work through as they go through the curricula. And again, it's very robust. There are 19 hours of content if you did it all. But if you don't have that much time, you can pick and choose how deep or not you wish to go into each lesson. Each lesson has a brief pre and post assessment. There are key vocabulary terms built into each lesson. There are videos. The activities can be done individually, paired up, or even in small groups. And there's always step-by-step instructions to make it very easy for you to use this kit in your class. You don't have to be a food truck expert in order to be able to make this work in your program. So you can see that for each of the lessons, there are multiple activities. If you don't have a total of 19, 20 hours to do all of them, maybe you choose one or two from each of the 5 lessons and don't go quite as deep. But we found ourselves being asked for a kit on this topic, especially during COVID, because it was the one area of culinary occupations that seemed to be growing in that year. And we were hearing a lot more about culinary programs wanting this type of content. So we've tried to make it very easy to integrate this into your culinary courses. The activity that we'd like to share from our food truck design kit is on menu development. And this is a favorite of students. They love to be creative when they're planning things like the food truck name. The logo is especially fun. They are designing the menu, the pricing, all of those kind of things. So the link on the screen in front of you will take you to the menu development lesson. And this lesson alone, if you did all of it, could be up to 4 hours of lesson content. So you could access it and you could try this with your students to give them a chance to be creative. This is also something that could be adapted easily for remote learning. We've tried to make a lot of our lessons adaptable because we know that educators still find themselves in a lot of different learning environments. So we want to be as flexible as possible in the way that we're teaching. Now, the 5th kit in our toolbox is a brand new one that's going to become available in the fall of this year, and it's our Food Science and Nutrition Lab Kit. And here are all the components that are in this Food Science and Nutrition Lab Kit. You get the curricula and the workbooks. You also get a set of 2 posters, and there's 6 sets of these so that each of those 6 kitchen labs can have those posted as a reference for students. They're on reading a food label and all about the 6 essential nutrients. And then you get a whole bunch of food science lab activity items. There are multiples of them so that students can be working in pairs or small groups to do all of these food science experiments at the same time. And they all come in a nice storage kit, so it makes it easy for storage as well. So students are going to conduct different lab activities focusing on these type of topics. We also did build in a career planning and career exploration surrounding this topic so that students are aware of different occupations in the area. And then we get into food safety and nutrition, talking about food technology and food science, what is dietetics and things, and then also getting into some of the food biology and chemistry and some of the different labs that they're going to do. This takes a little bit deeper dive into each of those 7 lessons, and you can see there's a minimum of 2 activities in each of those lessons. If you don't have the time to go that deep into the 7, you might just choose 1 from each of them, and that would cut the time in half. Again, very, very flexible. But one of the favorite activities from this one happens in lesson 7 when they're doing a DNA extraction with strawberries, which is just a really cool and fun thing for them to be able to do. So lots of things here, many things that you could be using in your classroom to change things up a little bit. The one idea we wanted to share or activity from this new kit is called Breaking News. And here you've got students are going to pair up and they're going to search on the internet all about GMOs. And from their research, they're going to identify one popular food that contains a specific GMO that they found in their research. And then they're going to use all of the information to create and actually deliver a breaking news segment presenting their research like they're on the news. And you'd have, depending on how many students are in your class, let's say you had 20, that would be 10 different pairs that would go ahead and do the research and prepare their breaking news segment. And then they could prepare, or they would deliver that in front of the class. And we have even included the skit rubric that's in the curriculum here. You can see it on the screen so that you can also quickly grade it. And it's just a suggested way of doing a skit rubric. So we hope that students would also find that idea a lot of fun to be able to do. So we've got a few other culinary resources, not just kits, and we wanted to highlight some of these other culinary resources in case you didn't know we had them. And right now we have 3 different hydroponics options for culinary programs to choose from. First of all, we have a plant mini educational hydroponic system class pack, and it's a 5-pack. So this will allow students to take individual or a small group responsibility for growing a variety of plants in it. And they're desktop size, and in each pack can be used to practice 3 different hydroponics growth methods. You can do deep water culture, ebb and flow, and microgreens. Our plant lab educational hydroponics system gives students a chance to experiment with varying quantities of greens while addressing plant science, STEM, and sustainability efforts. It's got 3 vertical shelves that connect to the individual water sources, and it enables experimentation with plants and water levels and nutrients on each level. So that's a really fun one as well. And then the last one we have is called the Plant Producer Educational Hydroponics System. And again, you can grow production level quantities of greens in those as well. And this system includes a starter kit materials and user guides so that when you get the system, you can begin growing right away. You can incorporate STEM concepts from the curricula, and these do have a curricula. So these are just 3 very fun ways to integrate hydroponics into a culinary program. And you can learn more about it at the link that you see on the screen in front of you. Another thing that we have are some meat cuts resources. We have a beef and pork 3D meat cuts poster, and it represents beef and pork meat cuts in realistic full color details. It will contour the shape of the animal, and then it represents the most common cuts of beef and also pork. Our butcher beef cut model, it has lifelike models. It's a set of 4 separate quartered section models. They include a round, loin, rib, and chuck from half of a steer. And the set of models are about 1/2 the size of a steer, and they feature 21 magnetic models depicting the most popular cuts of beef. So you could use something like these models to identify the various cuts as well as how to learn to prep and cook each of them. And there's also curricula and lessons that accompany that as well. Now we've also got 2 different sets of soft skill scenario cards that are available that relate to culinary. And in each of these, there are 19 different soft skills that are highlighted in culinary and food safety, production and processing, real world scenarios that you'd find on those types of jobs. Each one has a brief scenario on one side, and then on the other side, there's points of view to consider, and there's a series of key discussion questions. So you could turn those discussion questions into a quick icebreaker activity. They could be an assessment at the end of a class. You could even make these available and share them on an LMS system for remote students to have access to. But the 2 that we have for relating to culinary are straight up culinary career scenario cards. And then we also have food processing, production, and safety career scenario cards as well. And we do have a set of workbooks that goes with the culinary career scenario cards. Again, a very flexible and easy way to be able to work some soft skill instruction into your culinary program. So now what? We've shared some things with you. What can you do with this? What culinary content areas do you need more resources for, or want to change things up? And do you have any of the resources or activities that we've shared line up with the gaps that you have? You could start small, maybe try a kit, or maybe even just try an activity from one of the kits that we've shared and see how it goes. And then if you're interested, you can contact us to get the larger kit and curricula and everything that goes with it. but definitely try a few things, see how they work. We have a few additional resources that we would like to point out that relate to culinary. One is a free 5-lesson unit on culinary arts and food science career exploration at the link that you see. And there's a lot of different pathways and occupations that are in that 5-lesson unit. And it's available to you for free. You can take and try one lesson or try them all, but an easy way to build some career exploration into your programs. Another thing we have are some free culinary posters at the link that you see. They're like infographics all about culinary and food science careers. And then we also do have a separate poster all about hydroponics and what you can grow in some of these systems and things like that. So if you're looking for some more good visual things to post in your classroom, you can go to the link here, and there are instructions on how to print those, and you can put those up. And here's just a few other last minute additional resources we would like to point out to you. We do have a Realityworks blog, and every month we are asking new authors to contribute articles and activities. We do any new product launches, we always mention on the blog. And there's just a lot of good information out there, and it's a great way for you to get more activities and ideas for your classroom. We also try to be very active on our social media. So we have things like Facebook and Twitter, where we put information out about products and best practices. And sometimes we even see our students weighing in on some of these forums when they're using some of our products in the classroom. And that's always fun for us to see. So at this time, Emily, I'm going to turn it back over to you to see if we have had any questions from any of the kits that we shared today or any of the activities.
Yeah, Denise, you shared a lot of links. Do you want to go over what everybody will be receiving after the webinar again?
Yeah, we'll be sending you a copy of the presentation that have all the links in it, but I've also got a one-page handout that specifically takes all of the links out of the slide presentation, and it just gives you easy access on that one-page document. You will also be receiving a certificate of participation if you've been live with us on here as well. I think that's it, Emily.
Awesome. And I'm not seeing any other questions coming through right now. Just want to thank everybody for taking the time with us. And then, yep, wait 24 hours and you should be receiving that email. Check your spam mail if you don't see it. Otherwise, you can reach out to us at the information that Denise just put on the screen, and we can get all of those links sent out to you as well.
Thank you, everyone, for participating today in our culinary webinar.